Hello and welcome back to the IO Sportscast. With me as always I've got Ollie, say hello.
Hi everyone.
And today we are talking about the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're literally recording right after it, and oh my days, what an ending! I
Oh
don't
mate, it
I
was
don't
sick.
think we're going to be as excited for any other podcast as this one. Just
Oh
one,
no.
because normally there's a gap between us recording, and two, this is like top tier ending.
Yeah, this is probably the best Baku race we've had, and probably one of the best races of the season so far.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
It's up there in the top three.
Well, let's just jump straight into race ratings. I'm going to give it a 9. I think the early pit strategies were quite interesting, like the Williams and the Alfa Romeos coming in on lap 1 for hard tyres.
Yeah.
Turns out in the long run that was a really bad idea to do that. Um, but then it did have a bit of a quiet period as the order was getting shuffled, and then
Yeah.
as the second that Stroll's accident happened, that was it. It
True. I
was
forgot
like a
about that.
complete. It was a race of two halves.
It was like three races, wasn't it?
It was
Or
three races. It was
two races, a sprint race.
Yeah. It was like there was definitely two periods of the race though. There was the build up, and then there was the
Yeah.
Stroll accident and everything kicking off.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9 out of 10. I'm
I
giving it.
I I've got to agree with you 100%. Pretty much what you said. It's 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Great. Best driver, worst driver. I think Sebastian Vettel for me has got to be the
Oh,
best driver.
yeah.
Phenomenal,
100%.
phenomenal driving today. For worst driver though, I really don't know. Um, Bottas is probably gonna be it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, I
was
agree with you.
only went backwards in the race, didn't get anywhere in the first stint, stayed P10 pretty much the entire way, and then just went backwards in the second half. And really they should have retired him. I think at lap 45, I think is when he'd be counted as classified. So I think they should have just pulled him in, saved the engine.
Yeah.
So Sebastian, I'm going to give him a 10. Like phenomenal
Oh,
race.
mate, easily.
Um, Valtteri, I'm going to give a 3. Like it was just a poor weekend for him all round.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Vettel was easily the best driver today. Considering where he started to finish second. Um, yeah, in that Aston Martin as well, but we know is the quickest car. But today they were absolutely unbelievable. Uh, Perfect race. If he'd have won, I'd have given him an 11 out of 10.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, 10 out of 10, pretty much perfect. He got onto the podium, didn't expect that. And as I say, I agree with you again with worst driver. I think Bottas he just had a nightmare. I saw on Twitter that people are saying that Bottas has passed it, and personally, I think that if his form don't continue, I can see him getting replaced by Russell.
yeah.
I know it's not the Mercedes way, but
Well,
P10 in quali and finishing 14th is not good enough for
no, it's really not.
seven-time constructors champions.
And
And if he don't improve, he'll be getting replaced by by Russell.
that is one of the things we're going to discuss later. Is the battle of the wingmen really? Because that's what's going to decide the constructors. Lewis and
Yeah,
Max are going to be fighting it out at the top, and they're going to be sparring off each other the entire championship. So it really is the wingmen that are going to win the title.
yep.
Predictions. Now I think I've got the right predictions pulled up. Um, Qualifying. We both said Verstappen, Paul, Hamilton second.
Yep.
So none of us saw back to
Well, we get a
back.
point. We get a point for thingy. I'm on.
Yeah, none of us saw the back to back Charles Leclerc polls.
No.
I went Perez third. You went Norris third. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, they were they
You
were
did
up
better than
they
me.
were they were up there in the race, but not in qualifying. For the race, oh boy, we both said
Yeah, we didn't get this right.
we both said Hamilton first. We both said Leclerc second. I said Verstappen third. You said Perez third. So I'm going to give you the points on that because
Yes.
we really should have had Hamilton winning that. And
God,
Perez
I'm
on the
still not
podium.
over that. I'm not going to be over that till we get to points.
Right. Actually, there is one more thing we need to quickly address. Is that I have a nice icy drink, so you may hear a little bit of clinking in the background because it is absolutely sweltering still in my room. Ollie, have you got a drink? What are you drinking today?
I've just got some water.
Standard.
Tap, so,
Standard.
yeah, standard, mate, as per.
So,
But yeah,
back.
where do we start?
I think. I really don't know where to start. We could very quickly start in qualifying. Fernando Alonso really not happy with the fact that Tsunoda and Sainz both crashed and brought out the red flag, but ended up starting in front of him and got to rebuild the cars and effectively have a brand new car to go for the race, whereas he was stuck at P10, P9.
Yeah.
I see where he's coming from. Totally see where he's coming from. That it is almost that he's.
Yeah, but if your car crashes, you have to rebuild it though.
Yes, but I feel like that could be used to be, we've got a little bit of a dodgy engine, like, let's just crash and then let's replace and put a new engine in. We've only used one so far in the season.
Right. I thought it would just say, no, they can't take part because they crashed the car.
And also there's not many wing changes you can do, but I think if you're going to have a redo of like bodywork, then you can't. I don't think you can guarantee that the wings set up exactly the same, so...
I think depending on how bad the crash is, you should have to rebuild it how you sent it out for the qualifying session you was in.
Yeah, and I think
so
they
for
do.
Example,
they do aim for that.
If you crash in Q1, you have to rebuild it exactly to the exact. Because they'll have all the data. Should rebuild it exactly.
Yeah, and like I say, I'm sure that they'll try and do that, but at the end of the day, it is humans setting up like wing setup and stuff.
Yeah,
and surely you can't get back-to-back wings set up exactly the same if it's a human tightening the wing and opening the wing.
Yeah. You do have a good point.
Like I say, I'm sure there are specifications, but all the tech specs have a little bit of leeway, one way or another.
Just before we move on to the race, when they crashed, everybody else was on flying laps, and they were all improving as well.
Yes, and this is the other thing I want to talk about. At the current way the rules are, if there's a crash at the end of Q3, and there's not enough time to get back out, it's a red flag. Session's over. That's not just Q3. That's all the sessions.
Yeah.
But I think there should be a rule change, particularly for qualifying. Not necessarily free practice, but definitely qualifying. That if there is a red flag with less than a lap's worth of time left, like there was today, everybody should be allowed who wasn't involved in the crash. Anyone who's out there on track should be allowed to have a warm-up lap and one flying lap. I say particularly one warm-up lap, as in you have the out lap and then the flying lap.
And then you start.
So you can't do a Valtteri Bottas and take 2 or 3 laps to warm up.
No. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
And I think that makes it a lot fairer. It clears out an issue of crashing, if Charles, for example, at Monaco was like, Lewis and Max are faster than me, I'm going to crash and end the session. That rules that out because they've still got the chance to go out there, and actually encourages you not to do that because you potentially get another chance as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm glad we agree on that. That I think that needs to be looked at. This is 2 races in a row now where qualifying has been disrupted by red flags, and it's the end of qualifying as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The earlier red flags weren't a massive issue. Disappointing for the people involved, and sure, Vettel missing out to get into Q3 was a little bit upsetting, but ended up actually working in his favour.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the climax of qualifying is 10 guys out there, softest tyres as fast as possible, and that's just been taken away now 2 times in a row at 2 very complex tracks. It's something needs to be changed, I think. Well, back to the race. Where do you start?
Uh,
It was a great start from Perez first time round.
yeah, it
I
was.
think everybody was actually really well contained. There were a couple of little lockups, but for the first lap at Baku, everyone was actually really well behaved.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be some
Yeah,
kind of crash.
I was expecting like turn three in particular is the track is the turn that I always find to
And
be
to,
the one that
the
squeezes you.
yeah, the first three are normally a
Yeah, a bit,
bit
a little
dodgy.
bit dicey. Um,
Yeah,
but it was everyone went around fine. Russell came in at the end of the first lap, pitted on the hards,
yeah.
and
I thought he had an issue, and then he came and just put some tires on. I was like, alright, fair.
I mean that was the call that some teams said that they were going to make was pit really early and take the hards to the end. Giovinazzi came in lap two, I think, to maybe do the same thing. Maybe even a
Yeah,
bit lap one. I can't remember. It was so long ago now. Um, Fast forward a couple of laps, the leaders have started to gap themselves. It's still fairly close at the front. There's a nice little bit of tussling between everyone.
yeah.
And there was. Did you see the issue at turn 15? Was there debris on the track when everyone was just shifting out the way?
There was a tree branch that had fallen on the racing
Yeah,
line,
that's
so
what I thought
obviously
it was.
Leclerc hit it.
Lewis hit it as well.
Lewis hit it, and then Max just moved
Max.
and cut the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a bit of. It was like a tree branch that had fallen off.
Max took
So.
the F1 2020 line through.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There was. It was just a little branch.
Yeah, and at the end of the race with the red flag, we saw the damage to Lewis's front wing, and it just pierced through it. So, no wonder
Yeah.
Lewis was having trouble staying behind people.
Plus, I don't think Max saw it, but I don't think Lewis saw it because he was that close behind Leclerc.
Yeah. Ocon, unfortunate day for him. Did 4 laps and came in. Still don't actually.
Gearbox issue.
Was it the gearboxes?
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't work out whether it was a gearbox or hydraulics or engine.
It was. I think it was gearbox. They were saying because as he came around turn 16, puff of smoke came out.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to work out. Was it engine or gearbox?
And it didn't sound good. So yeah.
Very disappointing given how well Alonso was going. That Alpine could easily have had double point score this weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Lando came in early, very early. Tried to undercut Valtteri Bottas. Then there was some little bit of weird pit stops. Everyone wasn't coming in at one lap. It was over 3 or 4 different laps. Yeah. Shows you what you can do around Baku. Like there are so many pit options and strategies you can run, and I think that's great to see.
And then Hamilton came in,
but
was held because Gasly came past.
Yes, and that cost him. That really did cost him because then later on, Max and Sergio came in and both came out ahead of him. Immediately, Perez was like, Hamilton he's flying on the straights. But Lewis is like, in the middle sector, can't keep with the Red Bulls.
Yeah, he was saying that they had so much grip, and it wouldn't have helped that he had damage on his front wing as well, neither. That wouldn't have
Absolutely, and he was relatively close, in terms of dirty air.
Yeah.
But it was like classic, like Red Bull, great through the slow sections, Mercedes, fantastic through the faster sections. It was like classic car versus car.
Yeah, exactly. And there weren't like massive gaps, like 10 seconds. It was proper close.
Yeah.
Max to Lewis from third to third.
It definitely feels like this. If all the drivers in the top 2 teams had been on form, it would have been just down to which car worked better on the day. Which is,
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
it was 2 against 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was really weird seeing 2 Red Bulls against 1 Mercedes for a change.
Normally it's the other way around.
Yeah, but Bottas was stuck in P10 and sort of trying to fight Norris for P9. Just nothing really came of that though.
Yeah.
It's about this time that everything settled down for about 10 laps.
They were all on the hards when they all came in. They all went onto the hard tyres.
They all went onto the hard tyres. Lance Stroll, I think, started on the hard tyres.
Yeah.
And that sort of cost him. Lap 31, I think I've got written down. Big accident.
I thought it was lap 38.
It could well have been. I don't know.
It was in the 30s anyway.
It was in the 30s, and I've just wrote down as many numbers as I could
I think it was
while
30,
trying to
I
keep
think
my
I
eyes.
think it was 38, and I think he was going to come into the pits to change his tyres. But then tyre went boom boom, and he went crash crash.
Tyre went boom boom with no sort of warning.
Yeah.
That's the worst bit.
I
And
know.
when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a little bit strange, but it
I
has
thought,
happened. It does sometimes happen.
yeah,
Like last time we were in Baku was 2019, and George Russell, his practice was destroyed with the drain cover. So I was like, I
yeah.
wonder if there's a loose panel
I
on
thought
a
I thought it
curve
was
or
like
something.
a slow puncture, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
picked up a little bit of debris or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then when you look at the replay, normally you see that the like the tire being slightly deformed before it goes, and
Yeah,
it just looked like it went.
and then you could tell because he just fishtailed and then he
Mm.
hit the wall.
I will say, everyone gives Lance Stroll quite a lot of shit, but actually he did extremely well to keep that to the side. Like, it was very easy on that
Oh
in that
yeah, it
section
could
of
have
the track
easily
to
gone
bounce
through the middle of
back
the
into the
track.
middle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair play, because crashing at 200 miles an hour when you have no idea it's about to happen.
Oh yeah, it didn't have any warning. The team didn't have any warning.
to
It
to
just went
then
bump
take the impact and still have the whereabouts to keep it on the
to
pit
the
lane
left
side.
hand side. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then obviously they have to close the pit lane and the safety car came out.
yeah, kudos. Lots of debris, lots of debris.
Oh mate, it was mad.
Obviously, at that sort of speed, the car's going to travel quite a way between the first bit of debris and where the car ends up. But also,
Did you see the onboard? He slid. He must have slid
yeah,
for ages.
yeah. But did you see the long shot from the pits looking back? There's a piece of debris from, I think, like the front right of his car that
It
flies
goes up into the tree, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah, saw that.
oh my days, that is why you have catch barriers.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
I thought that
that
that's
cleared
in the
it. That's lucky that there's trees behind the catch barrier, because if there isn't, that's hitting an apartment. Like, it cleared
yeah.
the barrier. But
Yeah,
the catch fence did its job for the pits that hit it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting on both big incidents. Normally you see like the marshals, like a couple of in slow mo, everything's out of like sync with timing and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the human body doesn't react anywhere near quick enough, and it shows in slow mo. Normally you see the marshals take a couple of seconds and then duck down. But yeah, what you actually saw was not just the marshals dropping down and then looking at, like, is the car okay, is the driver okay, let's sort it out. But the photographers didn't move an inch, and they all swarmed to the edge of the barrier, which it's crazy. Like, I understand the marshals are volunteers and they do it at that one track, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But the photographers, surely you take a second and go, one, is the situation okay? Two, is there any debris that's going to fly and knock out my 10K camera?
Yeah, exactly.
But they did. You just watch the replays. They just swarm to get the shot. Which,
to be fair, when it happened, I thought, right, this could be bad, because you couldn't see Lance Stroll moving from the camera angle, and then it kept to the little camera at the bottom of the halo, and he was taking his steering wheel off. I was like,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, I think had it have been if it had been obvious that something more serious was happening, there would have been a bit more urgency in everybody's voice. But also, the cars nowadays are so safe that, like, we're at the point where, unless the car has been destroyed or split in half, Grosjean sort of style, like, you're like, actually, the norm now is that they do get out okay, which is, phenomenal that we're at that stage. But
plus, you didn't have to go far to the pits.
No, and I saw the medical car pull up, and I was like, has that gone and done a full lap, or has that just turned round in the pits and gone the wrong way? I didn't actually see it pull up. I just saw it there.
I just saw it pull up and get in.
It's like a 10-second drive to his pit garage.
Well, yeah, they've got to though, because I think it'll set off the G sensor.
Yeah, but interesting. He just got dropped off outside his garage and not taken to the medical centre.
Yeah, I think if it's in with a certain amount of G force there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's checked up.
Yeah, it's just a little bit strange that you just take him straight there. Max as well. Max was seen walking into the medical centre, which I think is, if they've had an accident, just take him there straight away. Just get it sorted.
Yeah, exactly. And then that brought up the safety car, but obviously nobody could pit because the pit lane was closed because Stroll crashed. Well, he didn't crash there; he slid there.
He slid there.
His car stopped.
Yeah.
So they had to wait a few. And everybody was like, "Oh, what happened? Is it the tires? Is it debris?"
Yeah.
This big
And
debate.
and no one knew, and no one could do anything about it. Having the hindsight that we do with what happened later on, you've got to question whether next time, if the same thing happens at France, they're gonna red flag it straight away, and everyone's gonna be forced to change tyre.
Oh, 100%.
But people didn't change tyres. I think
because they couldn't change tyres.
Yeah, I think as soon as the pit lane did open, like a lap before the safety car came in,
they all came in, didn't they? Some people
there was a few.
came in.
Alonso came in for softs. Schumacher came in for softs. Russell and Giovinazzi came back in for hard tyres, which was really interesting. That they'd already stopped onto hards, but had another set that they were running out. Schumacher's pit stop didn't quite go to plan.
Loose thingy, didn't it? It's Haas, though. It's Haas, mate.
It is Haas.
Put tyres on.
It is Haas, and the mechanic.
Luckily, though,
mechanic looked like it was on, but yeah, they did stop him before the pit lane, which is
just before. You could tell as well from the onboard that it wasn't on, because you could see the little tiny little line.
Yeah, but you could see the mechanic at the pit stop looked like it went on fine. So if that was all you saw, you wouldn't have noticed. So great call to get him stopped and get it sorted out.
Otherwise, that could have been another safety car.
It could have been, and it could have been. I mean, it could have been anything at that point, couldn't it? It's Baku.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the safety car came in. It was a fantastic start from Sebastian Vettel. Getting past Leclerc, and then Leclerc almost taking him out with the lockup.
Oh, mate, yeah.
How he's kept that out of Sebastian's diffuser, I have no idea.
And out of the wall as well.
That was because you saw the lockup, but then if you watch the replays, you see the lockup, and then he has to release it because obviously he can't turn when he's locked up.
Yeah, exactly.
And he manages to get it. Yeah, exactly. Oh.
What?
Man, he would have needed a change of underwear. That was.
Oh, mate, 100%. And then it just same old, wasn't it again?
Not a good start for Bottas. This is when he started going backwards. And by lap 41, Bottas and Russell were next to each other fighting for P14, and we know how much they love each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, really, not much happened until the next big incident, and oh my word, that camera
I feel
shot
sorry now
cuts
because I kind of cheered when it happened.
Why? I mean, I
didn't know it was a tyre failure at first. I just saw him hit the wall, and I was like, yeah. And then I saw the replays. I was like, shit.
I won't lie.
I've done that.
I did for a few laps leading up to that think, if Max bins it, this really does create a bit of a championship opportunity for Lewis.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see how Max reacts to that, and like in the next few races, how he carries on. Sorry, I'm just looking at my microphone. Apparently, my left side is dead now. Interesting. That's an issue I'm gonna have to deal with later. Yeah, no, I did say to myself, like, if Max crashes now, this could blow the whole championship open. And then a few laps later, he's having an incident. I think as soon as you saw the replay though of the onboard replay, and you saw it wasn't, it just snapped on him.
Yeah.
At that point, like, I got the chills. That, like, very similar to what I got when I saw Grosjean crash. Like, this is not good now. Pirelli have got some big questions to answer.
It was the same tyre as well, the rear left.
Same tyre, same compound, and
just a bit
Pirelli went for the softest tyres, which is, I guess, fair enough. But they also then played around with the PSI as well, and it's just not worked. And as soon as you see your second car go with the same thing, like, my mind went back to Britain 2013 when it was like 6 blowouts or something. That crazy race.
Yeah.
And that brought about a whole change in Pirelli's mindset, didn't it? They immediately started switching around with the compounds and the sidewalls, and a little bit of a strange situation. That brought out a red flag. Well, actually brought out a safety car first.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
And
to be honest, he's lucky that, obviously, I don't like it when anybody crashes. But he's lucky he didn't crash to the left where the pit lane was, because he was going that side, wasn't he?
Yeah, that could have been really bad.
Because if it had crashed where the thingy, it'd probably taken out some of the mechanics. Not only if you know, no, it won't, but
He won't,
really
but
got
he
into
would.
the pit lane. But
If he'd have crashed into the pit lane, there is a chicane there. He'd have pinged off 2 or 3 walls.
yeah,
That would have been
I know.
nasty.
If it had hit the pit, just further down as well in the pit wall, it'd probably got into the pits and people might have been hit by debris. But yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was the thingy when then as you said, brought out the safety car, and then it was red flagged. There was questions of whether it was going to be restarted or not. But when you saw the behind angle, it just snapped on him, didn't it? It just went. And then Christian Horner was like, "Yeah, we didn't get any sensors or it just exploded."
Yeah, there was a really cool camera shot of Helmut Marko and Christian Horner and someone else, I think GP maybe, talking about what happened, and Christian was just like, it was exactly the same as Stroll, same tyre, we just lost it.
Yeah.
No, yeah. If there's 2 incidents like that, that's not good. And
yeah, there needs to be
Pirelli
answers. We need answers from Pirelli.
Yeah. But while the safety car was out, things got a little bit confusing because the tyre graphic came up and Bottas and Russell had brand new softs on, apparently 0 lap softs. So I thought they'd just both pitted, and that's why Latifi was ahead.
Yeah.
And this was a couple of laps before the red flag, so
yeah.
That makes sense. But then, when it was a safety car going through the pit lane, and Latifi didn't do that. He got the call from his engineers to stay out.
Yeah.
Which is a confusing one, but I understand where they were coming from. Like, come into the pit lane, but don't pit.
Stay out. Yeah.
Stay
don't pit.
Exactly. Stay on. Do a drive through.
The stay in the fast lane.
Yeah.
To me, if your team says stay out.
Yeah, but that's
you stay out
absolutely.
and you don't go into the pits. Do you?
No, it's 1,000% on the team that.
They said stay out, and then as he was going past the pits, he went, "Don't pull into the pit box, just drive through." And he was like, "Oh, I've stayed on track. You told me to stay out." And they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, that's our fault." And I'm like, you should have just said come into the pits. Oh, you should have just said drive through the pit lane.
Yeah.
Simple lack of communication.
But Latifi stayed out, ended up getting a 10-second stop-go penalty, which I actually don't know whether he served or whether they added it as time after. I didn't actually keep an eye on that.
I did.
But he did get demoted back to P15 for the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it was red flag, and everyone was just sat in their little areas. Or if you're George Russell, you went to Aston Martin and sat in their little area for a bit.
The little pit wall, yeah, on the pit wall.
There was a view of Stroll's car on the recovery vehicle with the red bag from Pirelli over the top, not covering everything. And there was a fantastic shot. Well done to the cameraman, who managed to see right into the sidewall and into the tyre, and you could see that the tread was fine. That was still drivable, and it is
100%.
Most definitely just a tyre failure.
Oh yeah, 100%. That cameraman, that cameraman needs a pay rise.
That was a fantastic shot. Well played. And you could see the Pirelli guy cotton on and try and readjust the bag, and not do it.
He's got it.
Yeah, and didn't do a good job recovering it either.
I didn't think the race was going to be restarted because there was like three laps left.
I mean,
2 laps left.
Yeah, I was trying to work out the sort of the situation, because if a red flag comes out and the race gets stopped, you go back and count back to the last lap before the red flag, and there was a couple of laps under the safety car. Well, it was a lap and a half. They did come round once under the safety car, so I was trying to work out would Max still have won, and actually
I think that's what they were saying. Max had.
I don't know if he would have, because they did the lap under the safety car.
Yeah.
So the previous lap before the red flag was completed under safety car. So I think at that point, that's when the lap ends. So Perez would have won. Lewis would have come second. I don't know.
Yeah. Vettel would have been third.
I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. But just before we got back underway, there were a few messages from the FIA, no, to the FIA, sorry. One of them from Red Bull saying we got no information on that. I think it was Jonathan Wheatley, their sporting director,
Yeah,
saying
I think it was.
we got no information, no data that said that tyre was going to go, and it just gone.
And it was them that called for the red flag as well, wasn't it?
It was, and that they called it so that everyone could pit stop and change tyre. And if a team are doing that, you know it's on safety. And if the team are calling it on safety, not the FIA,
yeah.
Like, why wasn't that not a red flag much earlier?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Pirelli,
mate, that radio graphic, mate. That is,
you're liking the team.
I love that radio graphic.
Team FIA graphic. Anytime that comes up now,
I just like, I'll stop what I'm doing. I just listen to it.
Yeah, there was that one. So Pirelli need to answer for the tyres. FIA need to answer for why it wasn't a straight red flag and what on earth happened, because it was a late call for the safety car because it was yellow flags for a while. It was a late call for the red flag. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that happened to the FIA was from McLaren talking about Yuki Tsunoda's speed through the double yellows.
A little bit of beef, weren't there, between them?
Yeah, they were trying to get him penalised so Lando would jump him into sixth. But Michael Massey came back and said, you were all going too fast. I'd penalise the entire field. Which is a weird... Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case, because if it is, then there's something bigger at play.
He says he's going to speak to them all in the next driver meeting.
Yeah, I know, but if it really was that he was seeing everybody going too fast... One, again, why have you not red flagged it sooner or safety card it sooner?
Yeah.
Two, if everybody is doing that, then there is something bigger at play there. Because there's no way after two big incidents like that, like you heard it like Lewis's voice, like he was concerned both times at what had happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's no way that he'd have been going too fast, like.
Well, they had to dodge the debris because some of it from Max's car, because some of it went onto the grid, and they had to both swerve Perez and Lewis.
So yeah, I don't think actually everybody was speeding, but if that is the case, then really there needs to be more than words said. There needs to be some sort of everybody going back to school and getting a bit of a detention.
You all get a 10-second penalty.
But hey ho. We got underway again, safety car round, and 2 laps from a standing start. That's what we want.
Lewis's brakes. Did you see Lewis's brakes? They were smoking.
They were smoking. And
Jesus Christ.
Just before they left, Lewis had a nice little message to the team that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. Not talking about the 2 laps, very much talking about the championship.
Yeah, and then he bottles it.
And then he got a fantastic start. And
if he hadn't locked up, he'd have won that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That Carter first.
But
I'd have watched the podium celebrations then, because it's Lewis.
The question is, one, why did it lock up? Was that because his brakes were too hot and they just didn't have the grip when he presses the brake? Is that because he's broke too late because he's had a great start and wants to cement first place? Or is it because magic was left on?
Magic was left on, I think.
Ooh. And basically,
Anthony Davidson could say that.
Anthony Davidson,
he's the Mercedes sim driver,
so he
knows about it. He knows what it is.
But
Karun
Ted
Chandok was like, "Yeah, nah, sod it. I'll just tell everybody."
Was it Karun or was it Ted?
It was Karun. I think it was Karun.
But whoever it was, someone was like, "Well, I'll tell you all about it." It's basically a lever that.
Is that right, Anthony? Is like, a little bit, maybe.
I'm impressed. Was the words that he said. Like that suggests that he's on the right track.
Yeah. So more than it for when they're under.
So it's like, it's. I don't know if you said a lever or some sort of switch that toggles on a safety car system, so you can warm the brakes up to a good temperature. And Lewis, at the end, he was like, "Did I have magic on?" And I think Bono said, "Yeah, you flicked it with the gear selection." So I assume it's at the back of the wheel or something.
Yeah.
That as he's changed.
It's one of the levers, isn't it, or his little button.
Yeah. That maybe his tyres were just hot, and then as he's set off on the gear changes, he's flicked it.
Yeah, and it affects. Karun said that it affects the brake. It doesn't affect you under a safety car because you're just going slow. But if you leave it on during an actual proper restart, it affects your braking.
Yeah,
and that's what happens. Because he was ahead of Sergio, and if I think it'd have gone in first and would have been. I'd have watched the podium celebration.
And Lewis was on the inside, and he's gone straight across and not taking either Perez or Vettel or Leclerc out.
Yeah, exactly.
So fair play on those guys for keeping out. But then he dropped to the back. Perez flew off and won the race. Sebastian did what he needed to do and just kept it on the road. Scoop up P2. Very good race for him. Gasly and Leclerc. That was some tasty battling. That was some good last lap battling.
They were having some right battles, weren't they?
That was great. Let's see more of that, please. Yes, please.
I want to see more of that race. More of like races like that, because it was proper close all the way through the race. In every position, there was no like massive gaps apart from Mazepin. But obviously that's Mazepin. But yeah, there was no like, he's in the lead by like 20 seconds. There's like 3-4 seconds between the top four at one point, and you're like, yes, please, want more information.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things we were talking about last week with the Indy 500 was that you've got the top 4 or 5 separated by a second and a half, even with 2 laps to go. Maybe that's what the FIA need to do, is just suddenly call a safety car at the end. You know, France is normally a boring race. With 5 laps to go, call the safety car, bring them back together, red flag it, standing start, 2-lap sprint.
I hate France. I'm a passion.
Well, for the
next race, isn't it?
For the next couple of weeks, we can enjoy what a wonderful race this was. Oh my word! I'm going to be sat tomorrow at lunchtime, being like, "Oh, let me watch the highlights."
yeah. I'll watch the highlights as soon as they go up after the obviously the England game. I'll watch the highlights and be like, "Yep, please, more of that." And then obviously at France, I might fall asleep during France.
Maybe we'll talk about France when it comes around.
Yeah, exactly.
Fastest lap went to Max. It's a 1:44.481. Fortunately, nil points. Which, I mean, doesn't really make that much of a difference, all things considered. What does make the difference in the race, and probably in the Constructors' title, is the second drivers. Now, Bottas has had 1 win in the last 14 races.
Fucking hell.
Which
was last year.
That was Russia,
year, wasn't it?
Russia last year. And he's gone 14 races without a win. With only that 1 win.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
Perez has had 2 wins in 8 races.
That's mental.
And he did 190. Was it 190 before that without a win?
190 without a win, yeah.
And he's had 2 in 8 now.
With different teams.
With 2 different teams, and yeah, he had a little bit of a dodgy start, but I think that Red Bull as a constructor, I've probably got it this year. If Bottas needs to really up his game, and by really up his game, I mean if he's not by the end of what we've now got an Austria doubleheader, is that right?
We've got France and then double Austria and Britain.
If by the second Austrian race before Britain, Bottas isn't back up winning or P2, there needs to be a serious word about Mercedes about whether that's it for him.
I think it will be.
It is not the way, as you said at the very start, it's not the Mercedes way to drop a guy halfway through, and Toto said he's not going to do that. But Christian Horner also said to Gasly that it was perfectly fine and it was a great race and they're not going to drop him, you don't have to worry about his safety, and then literally the next race he's out of the car.
Yeah.
So
but do you see Bottas going to Williams?
I don't know. So if it's a mid-season swap, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
If it's a mid-season swap, then yeah, I think they'll just swap them for the remainder of the season. If it's the end of year swap and it's announced in the summer break that Bottas is not staying,
which is looking likely.
I don't know.
There's rumours that George is signing a 2-year deal with Mercedes.
Yeah, I don't know honestly, because you got the issue that Latifi's not doing fantastic.
Yeah, but he's pumping money into that team.
Yeah, but now
his family's pumping money.
Yes,
into that
but
team.
now that Williams have been taken over, there are sources that are saying that that's no longer a major factor, and actually experience could count for more. There are some rumours going around, which I would love this to happen. There are some rumours going around that Hulkenberg and Jack Aitken are going to be Williams' next lineup if George goes to Mercedes.
Oh, Oh yes, please.
which would be flipping incredible.
For the new regs, especially for the new regs as well.
I mean, everyone wants Hulkenberg back. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, even if he was the safety car driver, I'd be happy.
Oh mate, I think he'd love that.
It would be sick.
I mean, that'd be great. Every single race that he takes part in, he's leading the race.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think as you said, we've got France and then double Austria. I think if he's not in the top 3 in any of them in their next 3 races, personally, I'd drop him. I'd be like, yeah, George, you could have it from end of season. We'll put you in for Britain, get a British 1-2 and a Mercedes 1-2, and then yeah, jobs are good.
Yeah.
I'd wait till the summer break and drop him at the summer break.
I don't see the swap happening mid-season. I just can't see that. And I think it would be unfair to Bottas. In the sense that he has been at the team for a long time, and
2017,
and it's not an easy seat to be in by any means. And the team have asked a lot of him over the years to play second fiddle.
no, but when you're not performing to expect it where your team should be performing.
Oh, agreed.
Qualifying 10th and then finishing 15th.
Agreed. And if that's how he does it for the next 3 or 4 races, then that's a different story. But actually, he's still there or thereabouts. It has been helped that Perez has not, until the last couple of races, been on it either. But now he does need to pick it up and be back where Mercedes need to be.
He needs to be that wingman that we all know him for.
Yeah. But I don't.
He even said he wants to win championship. He ain't going to win a championship in 10th place.
No.
When you're fighting Lando Norris for P9, you need to be up there and to disrupt Red Bull and help your teammate. Because at the minute, it's just at Mercedes. I personally feel like it's just a one-man team. At the minute,
absolutely. Yeah.
With how Bottas is, with obviously the difference in performance between Bottas and Lewis. I personally think it's just a one-man team.
All right, so
he's carrying that team on his back.
So here's the situation. Right now, you're Toto Wolff, and you have to make a call this very second about Bottas's future. What do you do?
Yeah, he's gone.
What, straight away? George in for France?
No.
End of season, mid-break?
I'd say to him is I'd point him to one side and be like, you've got 3 races to improve.
Oh, an ultimatum.
Yeah, I'd say if you're not in the top 5, if you don't finish in the top 5 in the next 3 races, I'd be like, yeah, you're gone. So if he finishes 6th in France and then 5th and 5th in Austria, that wouldn't be good enough for me. He'd have to finish top 5 in each of the next 3 races.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then I'd be like, yeah, here's the key to that Williams. George, come on, pal. Getting that Williams for Britain. Getting the Merc for Britain. And then I'd put George in for the rest of the season. You're
being much more lenient than I would be.
Why, what would you do?
I'd be saying, fucking get yourself a podium or 2, lad. He's in a Mercedes. He needs to be fighting for the top 4.
Yeah, all right.
At the very least.
I'd say top 3.
And that needs to be consecutive. Like, he needs to be right up there.
Yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, I'd change in my mind. I'd say if you don't finish in the top 3 in the next 3 races, as soon as you finish off the podium in any of them, if you're not on the podium in any of them 3, you're gone. So if you finished 4th in France, but then 1 in Austria, it still wouldn't be good enough.
You want 3 consecutive podiums.
3 consecutive podiums. Yeah. So if it's 3rd, 4th, 3rd, so France, Austria, it'd be gone. If it was 1st, 2nd, 4th, it'd be gone.
Yeah.
So I need 3 consecutive podiums, no matter what position. And he keeps his seat for another few races.
And then you'd do the swap straight away after those races. So George would be in.
No, if he did what I said, I'd give him up until then, up until the summer break. And if his performance is dropped as soon as they come back after the summer break, it'd be a swap around.
Oh, so summer break is the key time for you.
Yeah, if he didn't do what I said for France, Austria.
So what I would be doing is pulling him aside and saying he's got 3 or 4 races.
Yeah,
has to be up in the podiums. Maybe take 4th if it's a really unlucky race or Red Bull pull a blinder of strategy.
Yeah.
then maybe a little bit of leniency. But if he's not, by the end of Britain, pulled in, 3 or 4 podiums,
Yeah.
then I would be saying, that's it. You driving till the end of the season and no more. I wouldn't
Oh,
do
you wouldn't swap him?
unless it was really dire performances. Like if he's fighting for last point for those 3 races, then yeah, fair enough, I guess. Because at the end of the day, you are still fighting a championship.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if he's picked it up and he's like 4th, 5th, 6th, it's not good enough, but it's strong enough that, given the problems that George might bring in for the season,
Yeah.
it might just be good, well enough to keep him, keep Valtteri at Mercedes for the season. But then yeah, I'd let him know straight away that that's it. He's driving on his last season. Actually, depending on how nice I felt, I might agree the contract with George before telling Valtteri, just so I had the fallback in place. But
Yeah.
that also feels like a very dickish thing to do.
Nah, what I'd do is I'd pull them. If I say I'd do what you do, say if he, like you'd say, oh yeah, if he did perform, he'd be gone at the end of the season. What I'd do is if he did that and he didn't perform, I'd pull Bottas and George into the room together. Yeah, and I'd be like, listen, Bottas, and I'd be like, George, give your overalls to Bottas. Bottas, give your overalls to to George, and there's the door, Bottas. See you later. And then I'd give the contract. But yeah, I think something needs to be done.
Yeah.
Or said, or something. Because can't be going round finishing outside the points.
No, agreed.
In the same car as your teammate. Yeah, I know he's a 7-time world champion, but yeah, it's just performances aren't good enough. If that's it, if you're, it's like if you're in a job and your manager's like, yeah, we need you to do this, and it's like, and you're not performing, you're normally gone, aren't you? They're like,
yeah, you
get
a couple of warnings and that's it.
Yeah, and then you're gone. I think they need to start doing that. I think he's had a few warnings. But yeah, so if he doesn't improve, he's out that door.
So if you're Valtteri Bottas then, and you're shown the door, you're told that's it, even if you kept to the end of the season, you're gone from Mercedes, what do you do?
Good question. I think what I'd do is I'd take a year out to thingy, or I'd try and look for another drive somewhere else.
So you try and stay in Formula One, even if the only drive might be Williams.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
I would say, if he's had he had the history with Williams before, back when they were actually fairly decent. Still not perfect, but fairly decent. There might be the offer there for him to drive as an experienced driver. They've now got some more funding. They might have a chance to turn their fortunes around. Does he want to give that a go, but knowing full well he's going to be trundling around at the back? And if he just has any sort of inkling that that's not correct, jump to IndyCar.
Yeah.
That would be... I don't know whether he's got the patience. If anything he's said over the last year and a half has been true about him wanting to win titles and thinking for himself, if he gets dropped from Mercedes, he needs to leave Formula One. He needs to go to another motorsport, because the only positions available are further down the grid and they're longer projects.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to end up seeing his career out. At best, if he joins back at Williams and they actually get back through the ranks, by the time they're in a position to fight, even with the new regs, it's going to be his last year, second to last year. He's not really going to be... This should be when he's at peak time. This should be the top of his career. Yeah. I just don't see him sticking around that long. If he takes a year out, I can't see him getting back in at all. Like, there's just no space for him anywhere.
Yeah.
If he takes a year out, I think that's him done.
Yeah.
Just take the hit and go to IndyCar. That'd be my thing. Or not necessarily IndyCar. You could do WEC or something like that. But
yeah. Or rallying.
Or Formula E.
Yeah.
Yeah. guys, he has got plenty of options in other sports. He just doesn't have the options in Formula One to be playing around with.
Yeah, exactly.
So, on that very happy note, that very nice cheery note, what a race this has been.
Yeah.
What a race. I'm still stoked from it. I'm still pumped from it. They got the football starting in 20 minutes. We're going to hopefully have a decent match.
I hope so.
This could be just a phenomenal Sunday afternoon. Who doesn't love Baku? Well done, Baku.
Hats off to Baku. If I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off, but I'm not.
Well, this has been the Baku Grand Prix podcast. My name is Izaak. I've been joined by Ollie. It's been a pleasure, mate.
As always.
Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to check us out on our social medias at IO Sportscast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. One day I'll get that done much more smoothly. If you're listening to us on your favourite podcast provider, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, whatever it is, make sure you hit the follow button just so you know when the next episode goes out. And if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up icon, and the notification bell so you know when the next episode comes out, and you can help us as well. I'm going to go bask for time now. I'm just going to go bask forever. What a wonderful race. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
See ya.